live feed right now. That's everybody is going to come over to this live feed. Let's see what we can do. All right. Let's see if we can make this happen. It's going to be a shocker if it does. But, all right, everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. You're on the lifeboat, trying a second time to make this work. Hopefully, everybody gets the memo and gets over to this one. So, if you could pop over to the old one, tell people that we are here, that would be good. Here's some 5x5s from people. All right. Well, looks like we got most of you back over here. It all goes well because this thing, me the business. Can I get a 5? But there's a 5x5. Thank you, Fiona. Lady Crispin. So, I did that without my bobbleheaded partner, and I didn't throw a phone against the wall. Look, still in one piece. I'm going to have to, give me 1 second, people. There we go. That should be a little bit better. And there we go. More chest, less ceiling, I believe was what I was told. All right. So, now I have to, of course, do this part all over again as well, because that's what we do. I appreciate your patience with me, folks. New equipment is giving me the business. So, I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. Tonight, we're going to be talking about heart. And there's a lot of people that this thing could be dedicated to. I mean, there truthfully is a lot. And we're going to talk about a couple of people a little bit later on in the show. The heart is an amazing thing. You know, for a very long period of time, our ancestors, back in, did someone just say they're changing their name a bit? Somebody back in the, hi, I changed my name a bit. Dennis the Menace. Okay. Dennis, I like it. It looks good on you. So years ago, our ancestors actually believed that the heart basically was where all of the thinking took place. Before science got involved, the fact that there was beating going on in the chest, they believed that the heart was the seat of everything. It was the soul. It was everything that had to do with the human body, basically, of any importance. They believed was housed in your chest. And I'll be honest with you, it's gotten a lot of press since then too, hasn't it? I mean, we think of it far more than ventricles and things pumping blood throughout the body, right? We think of the heart as, you know, the term gets used constantly, right? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog, right? Because you can't judge the size of a person's heart. So for that reason, we talk about it a lot. It's one of those things that really gets a whole lot of ink. And with pretty good reason, if you think about it. Because truthfully, we have over the millennia come to believe that if you're going to stick with something, if you're going to not tap out, if you're going to be a champion, right, a fighter, then it's got to be right here, right? So today we're going to talk about heart. Before we do, I want to talk about a different aspect of the heart, and this is a public service announcement. There's 25 of you here. I wish that there were 75 because this is one that I hope everybody hears. This is really, really important. Wait a sec, there can't be 25 of you. There's only 18 thumbs up. Okay, anyway, one of the problems with the lifeboat, and there's not a lot of problems with the lifeboat. There really is not. I'm quite happy. Alan Valentine, good to see you, my brother. I'm very happy with the lifeboat, with where it's going. Everything about the lifeboat currently makes me very, very happy. But if there is one problem with the lifeboat, it's that there's an awful lot of people here with an awful lot of heart. And the heart is also often thought of as the seat of where kindness lives in the human body. And you know what? There's something to that. There really is. I have never met a group of people online, offline, anywhere with bigger heart, more kindness than the lifeboat. Plain and simple. It's just the way it is. Brittany, good to see you. Yes, I always like it when she's here. Yeah. So there's a lot of people here with a lot of heart, and it's a beautiful thing that that you care as much as you do. It's the thing that keeps me coming back every day and night. By the way, if that's news to you, the lifeboat goes off every morning. If you get up in the morning and you want to start your day the right way, all right, look over at us. If you don't hit the bell for notification, or if it's not giving you a notification, trust and believe at about 5:30 on the west coast, so 8:30 on the east coast, there's going to be a video just to start the day. It's a lifeboat video. It takes about 5 minutes, helps you get focused. You should really check that out. So that's what keeps me coming back here day after day. That's what keeps me in the game, is that you're the kindest people I've ever met across the board. There is, however, a bit of a problem with that. And the problem is that when your heart is that size, you become a target. You become a target for people who have issues with being sincere. You have problems with people who are downright scoundrels and thieves, right? There are some really bad people who target really good people as a way to make a living. And we have been we've been hit with this in the past. This is not new, but it seems to come in waves. We'll get a bunch of scammers that show up on the boat and try to work people, and those people tend to get run off or they disappear or whatever. And then we get a new crop that comes back in. Recently, I'm not going to say the names of people, but let us say that their images that they used for things like Facebook and things like that were stock photos, right? So these were not real people. However, they were here every day, and they were starting to make friends. They were starting to talk to people and say how great the boat was and how fantastic everything that we do here is, and you're all so kind. And we did a little research. When we get people who are new on the boat, we're not private detectives. We don't run down everybody, but if somebody shows up and we'd like to know who's here. And the reason is that in the past, like I said, this is rearing its head. In the past, there was an individual that came on here that was homeless, and he got a lot of people on the boat to donate money to him so that he could get off the street. And we did a little research and found out that if he was living in his car, which is what he said, he was parking that car in a 3-car garage. And perhaps he was sleeping in that garage, I'm not sure. But he was not a homeless individual. And he had a whole profile and was very big into it, and he was making a living this way. This is what he does. I'm not sure that I can judge these people as harshly as some of you might be able to. I was a dirtbag for a really long time. And I promise you there's a time in my life where I would have thought that was a heck of an idea if it could have got me a bag of smack. However, I don't want that to happen to anybody here on the boat. So this is a policy that I think you should all kind of keep in mind. If somebody from the lifeboat reaches out to you and says, hey, is there any chance you can give me some help with rent? Hey, is there any chance you can help me out? My son or daughter is in trouble. Any of those kind of things. As much as you'd like to help those people, I'd like you to reach out to me first. The reason for that is more than one. One is I would like to protect the people on the boat. Number two is this is what we do, right? And I've said before, I can't think of one person, and maybe if Mark were here, he could correct me, but I can't think of one individual that we have ever helped who came and asked for it. These are people that we get to know, and we know what they're doing, and we're talking to them about getting clean or whatever, and we see an opportunity to help that individual. And I think I told you the story. If not, I've told a lot of other people. Last week we helped somebody get on medical assisted treatment, and when we were talking to them about the price, I said, if we're willing to reach out and help you on this if you're ready to pull the trigger, but you got to be ready to do this. And, we got to see that you're setting this up. And the individual said, yeah, I'm ready to go right now. And I said, well, you're going to be looking at about $99 for the first visit to see the doctor. And this person, I said, we can help you with that. And the person said, well, I got 50 of it. I got 50 I can spend. So I only need, well, that's the kind of people we get on the boat, right? All that person had to do was shut up. We're going to take care of the rest of it. But we get good people, and good people become targets. I then said, well, on top of that, it's not just going to be that. You're then going to have to go pick up the prescription. So, let me find out exactly what they write, because it's going to determine how much it's going to be. And, oh, no, cool. I got a card for that. Through work, I get all of my prescriptions. I have a prescription card. Right? That's the kind of honesty that brings somebody back here and they come in and say, hey, I drank yesterday, when the 3,600 people here can't see them or her, right? But they come back and they tell the truth. And there's a reason that those kind of individuals, that kind of truthfulness makes you a target. It does. And I've been hit. We've been burned. It's happened. We would like it, not to, but it is one of those things. What we're going to do is continue to fight the good fight. And sometimes our heart's going to get trampled on, and sometimes our heart's going to get broken. It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, people. And as on the same vein, only way different. One of the other things that's obviously heartbreaking is when we lose people on the boat. One of the other things that is heartbreaking is when someone that's just really doing well stumbles and falls. We know that this is a part of getting sober. It might take you 10 times. It might take you 15 times. I just got a text. Somebody said, you're still too bright. So let me see something here. What the heck is that thing? Let's see here. There we go. A little less bright. It is part of the battle. Part of the battle is that people stumble and fall. And what we need to do, if we're doing our job, is pick them up. And sometimes that's going to mean again and again and again saying, you know what? I believe you. I believe you're going to get sober. Somebody said something to me in an email the other day. By the way, if you're the person that sent this email, I love you, right? I'm not mad at you or anything else. And you're not the only person that sent it, I promise. But I was talking about somebody on the boat, and the person said, made a comment about, well, how many times has this person tried? Are you kidding? With all due respect? Are you kidding? I don't know. Seriously, I have no idea how many times anybody on the boat has tried or failed. I know how many times I have. Thank God you guys didn't know me then, right? Some of you would have given up on me in year 1. You certainly wouldn't have made it to year 30. Those people, not you guys. We're going to believe every single time somebody gets back up that this is the time that they're going to get sober. Do you know why? Because we're going to be right. Yeah, we will. Maybe not that time, but we're going to be right. But we're not going to be if we're not there to support people, right? Support people in the beginning. It's easy to pat someone on the back when they're 8 years sober. To be there for somebody when it's hard, during the tough and early days, that takes something. That's what makes us special. Franklin, day 8. Franklin, my man, I am so happy. Hold on. Ugh. Squirrel actually knocked this over. It would have been in place. But this is for Franklin. This is also for Brandon Squared, right? Both Brandons. Because Brandon Galloway should be on 35 or 36 today, right? Good stuff. 35. I think it's his 5th day over a month, which is just absolutely awesome. It really is. 8 days. Your first 8 days, man, those first 2 weeks, people, those first 2 weeks are rugged. And anybody that's sober knows that. Those first 2 weeks are tough. First month is. So Franklin, keep doing what you're doing, bud. Keep doing what you're doing. I promise you, the payoffs are coming. I know it's hard in the beginning, and sometimes it doesn't feel like those payoffs are going to come along. You feel like you're spinning your wheels. Do you feel like you're running up into a real strong wind. But the day is coming where that wind's going to be at your back. And people are going to notice. Both the Brandons, the other Brandon, 2 weeks and a day. That's great stuff, people. That really is. That's great stuff. And I got news for you. I don't give a rat's care how many times they fell down. Honestly, it takes more heart to get back up than it does anything else. I've said it on the boat 100 times, and get used to it, because I'm going to say it 200 or 300 times more. When Nelson Mandela got his Nobel Peace Prize, a Nobel Peace Prize, in the scheme of, hey, we've got a something we'd like to give you as an award. That's kind of the top of the food chain, right? And when he got it, he said, I would really like to believe that you're giving this to me, not because I'm the president of this country, but because of how many times I got up after I got knocked down. 27 some odd years in prison for something you didn't do. Never lost hope, right? Had the down days. You ever read his books? He had some dark times. But that man got smarter. That man got kinder. He took the 5%, which sucked, right? That 5% was as bad as it gets. Truthfully, as bad as it gets. But his 95% was epic. Epic. I've told the story many times, and it's an illustration that I just love. You don't have to be religious, but if you say Nelson Mandela, Adolf Hitler, and Jesus Christ, what do the three have in common? Nothing jumps off the page. People say, well, they were famous, or they affected the world, or all those are. They were all incarcerated at least once. They all looked through jail bars at one time. They all were locked up at one time in their life. But certainly, it's not what you think about when you think of them, because they had the heart, right, to be so much bigger than the situation, to be so much bigger than whatever they were going through. And yeah, they changed the world. Not all of them in the best way, right? One is the biggest dirtbag that ever lived, or certainly in the running. But you certainly don't define him by the time that he was incarcerated or any of those things. People, we're going to get knocked down. We are going to get knocked down. Even when you're sober and life is good, you're going to get knocked down. You may not relapse, right, to the point of using. But that doesn't mean you won't have relapses. There's a difference between relapsing and getting high. There's a difference between relapsing and using. That's just the final stage of relapse, right? That's when you say, I got drunk, I got high, I got loaded, whatever. That long process that takes you to that, the better we get at seeing when the crew members on this boat are stumbling, when the crew members of this boat are getting knocked down, that's when we step in, right? There's more to having heart than saying, I'm never going to use dope again. That's good stuff. That's why we're here, right? But to say, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that the 5 people that have asked me, the people in the circle who are leaning on me, maybe you got 10 people, maybe you got 20. I got a couple. It takes a lot. It really does. And it's not so much an effort of picking up a telephone. There's nothing to that, people. And I'll be honest, there's not much to the conversation end of it. There isn't. As I've said a million times, you don't have to have answers. You just have to have questions. You have to let the person know you care and listen to them. That's all it takes. Well, then why is it hard? It's hard because if you do this for any length of time, the people that are going to be calling you are going to relapse. And they're going to get back up. And they're going to say to you, man, this time I'm not going to use again. It takes a bit of training to say, not I'm going to fake it till they make it. Or, no, I'm going to live as if. I'm going to live as if there's no chance in hell that they're going to relapse again. Statistically, they're going to. Right? The odds are not in the favor. The odds aren't in my favor. They're not in your favor. but we're here to beat the odds. You realize that that's what having a huge heart is beating the odds? People, if you've never seen the pictures of me skiing, I'll post some. The stuff I did on skis, I was doing on skis way before other people were doing them, right? Like we were throwing back flips when they were still illegal. And I was an excellent skier. You know, I skied in professional events. You know why I don't have an Olympic medal on my wall? Because I didn't have the heart. I went to high school with a guy who has an Olympic medal. And I'll be honest, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I think I was a better skier. I really do. I think I had more talent. But I didn't have the heart. When I was getting high, you know what he was doing? Push-ups. When I was getting high, he was doing squats, watching television and doing squats in his house to make his legs just a little bit stronger. When I was hungover or it was 9 o'clock in the morning and I was getting ready to try to find that first fix, he was running in 20-degree weather so that he was going to be a little bit stronger. We weren't marathon, racers. The way I always looked at it was that run, we did moguls or aerials. We're talking about 15 seconds, right? 40 seconds at the absolute longest. We're not talking about a long performance. I didn't figure I needed to put that kind of time in. And that's why I have pictures of me upside down on skis doing really cool stuff on my wall, and he's got an Olympic medal. We are fighting right now for something 5,000 times more important than his Olympic medal. Keep it real. Precious metal's nice. It's fun to look at. I think I know 3 Olympians, medalists. I know a ton of Olympians. But I know 3 Olympic medalists personally. And these were people who, in every single case, had talent, tons of it. But they worked harder than anybody else. People, it's time to work harder than anybody else. And not just for ourselves, but for everybody else on this boat. I said the other morning, and again, if you just got here, every single morning there's a video. Every single morning there's a video. Watch it. Take 5 minutes out of your day. Not because I need the views, people. Give you a little perspective. My older brother just clicked 20 million YouTube views. 20 million? I can't wrap my dome around that. I'll be honest with you. I can't wrap my head around that. I think we just hit like 180,000. But that's 180,000 times that somebody thought, I'm going to watch this. I don't want to get high. I'm going to watch this. I'm tired of being, addicted. I'll take those 180, man. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of 180,000, right? And we ask you people to come here and hang out for an hour. I'm so impressed with the heart of everybody here. Take time in the morning, pop on. Everybody sort of messages each other back and forth, but it's 5 minutes, right? To say, I'm not going to get high today. It's 5 minutes to say, not today. Today is the day I am not going to do this. It takes heart to rebuild who you are. It takes a lot of heart to rebuild who you are. Because you got to look in the mirror and say, I'm not happy with that guy. Or that gal. I'm unhappy with who that person is. I have to fix that person. Right? And for some of us, we literally have to look in the mirror and say, I got to get rid of that guy. I got to replace him. I got to completely rebuild him. Well, I got news for you. If you ever watch a building go up, or if you ever watch anything like that, they start laying bricks, right? And those bricks go down and they start bringing stuff in. If you show up on day 5 of a construction project, somebody there has to tell you what you're looking at, don't they? I mean, you can see the outline, or you can see the foundation starting to go in. It's just a bunch of rocks or concrete or whatever. But that's epic, because that's going to hold up that building. So if you got 8 days, Franklin, If you got 8 days in, you have laid the cornerstone of who the new Franklin is going to be, right? If you got 35 days in, that is building who the new Brandon is going to be. Or 15 days, who the other new Brandon is going to be. A better Brandon, a better Franklin, right? Noise Opera! Noise Opera, good to see you in green, month 2. Thank you, my brother. You talk about a guy that redesigned himself. Honestly, we're going to talk someday because I would love to let you read who this person used to be and who this person is today. Because it is absolute proof that there's so much more to this game, people. I've said this 1,000 times, but it's not just about getting sober. That's base camp, right? You climb to 10,000 feet, to 15,000 feet, and you let your lungs acclimate, right? And they build this little thing that looks like a small town of other climbers who are getting ready to go. And they're training at altitude. They're getting their lungs in order so that they can go twice as high, right? They're going to go to a place that the body can't breathe. The average human being, done. I mean, done. The people that climb Everest, if you have any concept of what that takes, their lungs fill with liquid. That's what happens, right? Because we can't, take in that much oxygen out of the air and survive. Much less climb a hill that steep, right? Trudge across mountain ranges. You drive in ropes. Do you know the heart that takes? Seriously. You know the heart that takes? But they hang out at base camp. That's, right? They look up from there. They had to get to that base camp. It takes a long time. They got to trudge all of that equipment, right? They have people helping, but they got to bring all of that equipment up. The Sherpas, everybody gets all of that equipment up there so that they can get ready to try to summit. You realize that almost everybody that tries to climb Everest fails. Doesn't mean they die. It just means that the weather, locks them out, or it's an attempt that they tried. Some people take 6, 7, 8 tries before they actually get to the top, and they're there for about that long. They take a few selfies, right? They may drive something into the ground, put a little mark. I made it. You realize, people, that what we're doing here is 10 times more important than anything anybody did, right? Sir Edmund Hillary getting to the top of that's impressive as hell. It really is. But if Franklin doesn't use again, I'm way more impressed. That's me. It's me. And it's me and a lot of other people. A lot of other really famous people, right? Elton John. Talk about him all the time. And there are, the list of stars who win all of these awards and get all of these accolades and make all of this money. And when they say, Eric Clapton, what is, your crowning achievement? Was it Layla, or was it? No, it's getting sober. Getting off heroin was the biggest thing I ever did in my life. It meant so much to him that he has a little thing that he does to help people get sober, where he sends them and puts money up himself. He's very, very into it. Very into it. Why do they make such a big deal of it? Because it's a bigger deal than climbing Everest. It's a bigger deal than being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a bigger deal than anything. They're not saying that because, oh, well, you know what? I'm proud that I did that. They know the heart it took to write Layla. And they know the heart it took to quit doing dope. Right? Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is a hell of a song. All the albums he did, he's won Emmys, Grammys, Academy Awards, everything. Everything. But it doesn't mean squat, because in the scheme of things, nothing is more difficult for him than to make that happen. Hold on one second. Linda apparently has said hello. Heather Joy, so glad that you're here. Thank you so much. I love this boat too, man. I really do. So, Is my sound bad? Linda appears to think that my sound is bad. How we doing? Can I get a 5x5 from somebody? Shoal says, I got a few days left before I have my 30 days from alcohol after 5 years. Still clean from dope for 20 years. But damn, it's not always easy. No, it's not. It is not always easy. But it's righteous. Isn't it? Isn't it? Wow, man. How about that? Are you kidding me? How cool is that? 30. I got a few days left before I have 30 days from alcohol after 5 years, but still clean from dope for 20 years. I'm more impressed that you got back up after you stumbled. Just keeping it real. How easy would it have been to cash your chips in right then? You know how many people would? Honestly, the heart it takes to get back up and tell everybody here, hey, I stumbled. Oh, look who's here. Good to see you, Yahusha's disciple. Longtime boat member. Good to see you. Conky Donged, new member. I drank alcohol every day for the last 15 years leading up to December of last year. Today is my 15th day this month with zero alcohol. 15 days. And honesty. Right? It takes guts. It really does. I hope you were all here when Shoal said, you know what? I drank. 5 years sobriety, I just blew 5 years. You didn't blow nothing. You didn't. If you hid and you continued to use, right? I did it. I was talking on, I think it was one of the morning videos. I think it was the morning video. Where, we don't escape our problems by using drugs. We hide from them. They're still there. I promise you, we're going to have to cope with them at one time or another. It's the way it works. But to come here and honestly just say, you know what? I screwed up. I fell down. But I'm going to get back up. I'm so proud of you, man, and I'm so glad that you're here. Really. Seventh son. Just clicked a month. Lemmy, I'm glad you're here, man. I really am. Apparently, I'm still too bright. Okay. The people, we're going to get this camera down, I promise you. We're going to get it down. There we go. That's not helping. We're going to get it down. It is a better camera. And a couple of you reached out and said, you know what, I really like the old camera better. I do too. So much easier to use. So much easier to use. It is. And cheaper. Wouldn't have had to put out any money. Do you know why we did this? Because the quality of the video gets the big red button to go, oh, this is good. And they push a little farther. And I use that term because we're a boat. Truthfully, they're not pushing, they're pulling. But they're pulling more people toward the boat, right? That's important stuff. That shaking, that's not the tripod. That's Squirrel doing one of those cat things where they kick the side of their head really hard. Not sure what's up with the... Squirrel has been doing everything possible to knock around the boat. If you saw the morning video this morning, the second I started filming, Squirrel decided to use, we have one of those like enclosed litter things, but she gets in there and it sounds like people building a building, or bridge. Squirrel is a very loud cat in everything that she does. So to get back up, honestly, for me, that is the absolute most impressive thing that happens on this boat. The honesty of the people who are here to get back up and say and tell 3,000 people who can't see you, who you've never met. You realize, people, of course you realize. Come on, I'm preaching to the choir. What is the defining characteristic of people who do dope? Huh? Lies. It is. It's the defining characteristic. We have to lie to cover our habits. We got to lie to get money. We got to lie to the people why we're late, why we didn't show up, period. Lying is the fruit of addiction. So to come here and say, you know what? I fell down. I'm telling you, that's heart. I'm not taking anything away from Sir Edmund Hillary, by the way. Everest is impressive. It really is. Very impressive. The Rolex Explorer is named after him. A lot of really cool Rolexes are named after people that did some really wild stuff like that. I'm super impressed with all of those things because they took heart. Tons of it. But if that guy had a drinking problem, it would have taken more heart to quit than it would have to get to the top of that mountain. For real. So, to everybody here who's at base camp, to everybody here who has quit, it's not the end of the journey. It's the start, right? Now when you look in the mirror, you don't say, that guy's awful, right? I didn't look in the mirror anymore and say, you're worthless. I would look in the mirror and say, you know what? You're a good person. You got stuff to offer the world. That was, seriously, I would do the daily affirmations. I would look in the mirror and I would say, you're not a junkie, right? You're not worthless. You're not a liar. Well, when all of that was done, then you got to find who you're going to be, right? What you're going to be. And I got news for you. If you're 29 years old, excellent. If you're 22 years old, you're probably not on this channel. But if you're 65 years old or you're 75 years old, it's still base camp. I blew 30 some odd years. And I remember sitting, and I've told the story before, but I remember sitting and thinking to myself, I believe in God. And one of the most terrifying parts of sobriety for me was the thought that I was going to have to tell him that I appreciate the talents and the skills that he gave me because I've got some. Big stretch. However, I didn't do anything with them for the first 46 years of my life. It ate away at me. That was one of those things that I struggled with to the point that I can't explain. I thought Fiona had hit 24. I apologize, Fiona. Fiona apparently is still 22 years old. Sure you are. But that was something that wore away at me. It really did. And it, regret is horrible, right? These are things that really drive people back into addiction, right? Guilt's terrible, regret's bad. But then you get to a point where you say, I might be able to take all of that time and look at it as something other than a waste. If I take all of those years and I say, you know what? I learned a lot in 36 years of being a drug addict. I learned a lot. I saw a lot, right? I did a lot of things I am not proud of. I hung around with a lot of people who did a lot of stuff that they're not proud of. But boy, oh boy, give me a PhD in drugs. And when I got to base camp, my Everest was a boat. I didn't know it at the time. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know I was going to be wearing a captain's hat and having people call me Cap. But this is my Everest. And I'll tell you something, people. Getting up and doing the video, right? Having that morning video, getting up and watching the sun come up. There was a great comment somebody left, and I wish I could give him credit for it because I'm CJ Blaze. Good to see you here. I wish I could give him credit for it, but I'm not going to remember the person's name, unfortunately, because we get so many comments. But this person said, you know what? The world we're in sucks right now. It does. And there's no getting around that, right? Things are bad. The world we're in right now is not great. But when the sun comes up over the mountain tomorrow, it's still going to look great. You feel grass between your toes, it still feels great. It's so easy to get lost in the ugly that we don't see the beautiful. And it happens a lot in recovery. It really does. It's so hard to get out of that trap that you're in, to look past where you're at today. I want to tell you something. Franklin's got a different attitude today than he had 4 days ago. He does. Believe that. He has a different attitude today than he had a day ago. Go back and read comments. I get a buzz off that. I swear to you. And I'm not saying that in terms of, I literally get a buzz off of that. That's on all of you. I go back and read comments that people wrote, and I watch. You know what, Lemmy? I know the story of your brother. He said, my brother was actually murdered over drugs, and I know who did it. My ability to cope is gone. Did you read my comment, brother? I don't want to do this on the air, but you know what? I'm gonna, because you do it in the comment section. So we need to talk about this. What you need to do, your brother's name is Brian, right? You need to live for Brian. Seriously. Somebody took your brother away. Do you think that where your brother is at, he would be happy with the concept of you taking the life that you could live for the both of you and trading it for a prison cell? I have an unusual life. And I know people who killed for revenge. I know a lot of them. Seriously. I did time with them. I never met one that was happy about it. I never met one that got peace out of it. Not in any way. And the saddest part is that what really needs to happen is running with the bulls in Pamplona, jumping out of airplanes, swimming with sharks, right? Do amazing things. Go and check out the pyramids and take your brother with you. Seriously, you got to live for the both of you. So if that's what's left, because that's what's left, trust and believe. I don't care what your belief is. When you close your eyes for the last time, that's not it. I don't care whether you believe in my God or another God or whatever. When you close your eyes for the last time, that's not it. And I promise you, number one, he's in a better place. And number two, the thought that you are living what you got left of your life like this would destroy him. I know that it sucks. If somebody killed Johnny, I would want to torture them over days. I would. But I spent 10 years in a box around people that did stuff like that. They didn't get peace. You know what they did? This is what they did. That domino keeps tipping. He did to that person's family what this guy did to yours. Right? Family that probably isn't on dope, doesn't have anything to do with anything, right? All they did was create more hurt, more heartache. They passed along a hell and decided to live in it for the rest of their time on this planet. Because you don't just get locked in a box. You take your brother to the box. And then you sit in there for the rest of your time on this planet, reflecting on where you could have taken him. You see things on TV, right? I spent 10 years in there looking at newspapers. I didn't watch TV, but I read a ton of papers. You know, and you'd see things happening in the world and you go, I live in a box. I'm not trying to judge you, bud. I'm not. I can't imagine the hell you're going through. But I know the hell you're going to go to. I got a PhD in the hell you're going to go to. You want to go take that guy off the planet. For real. You say you got no future? Not unless you decide you're going to make one. With all due respect, you got to make one. You got to make a future. Does it mean you get over it? No. No. My dad died of old age after a great life, and I'm not over it. I can't imagine getting over somebody murdering someone in your family for any reason, much less drugs. But your brother's not at fault. He's without blame. The 5% that happens to people on this planet isn't their fault. That's the 5%. We can't control it. It happens. That's what makes it the 5%. The 95% is what you choose to do with the 5%. So you're going to take the biggest hurt that has ever happened and you're going to become a murderer. That's what you're going to do with this. That's the choice of the 95. You say, I can't, there's no future. You're creating the future, brother. The future's in your hands, whether you realize it or not. And that goes for every other person on this boat. You own your future. Took me 46 freaking years to figure that out. But you own your future. You design it. You can hate me, bro, for this. I wouldn't even blame you. I wouldn't. But I care about you, whether you believe it or not. And I care about you too much to not say this. That wouldn't be true to me, wouldn't be true to the boat. And I'll tell you something. I never would do this if we weren't already in the comment section. Right? I don't talk about anybody's life on the boat. But if you come and you talk about it in the comment section, do you know how many people have reached out to me about you? Honestly, do you know the number of people who reached out to me about you? Hey, can you pray for this guy? Is there anything you could say to him? Can you reach out to him? The only way I could reach out to you was through comments. And you never commented back to me. So this is how I look at this. And maybe you didn't read the comment. And maybe you didn't catch the last one. To forgive comes from the root to give away. It doesn't come from the root to say, you're blessed. It's all good. We're fine. I counseled somebody who was a rape victim. 2 people. And she said, how do I forgive that person? I said, you give it away. Lemmy, you must have just emailed me, brother. I haven't got it. CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com or sober@myyahoo.com. I have not got it. And I'll check and see if it's in spam, but I've been looking for your email, brother. Believe me, I've been looking for your email. But a rape victim, right? 2 people that steals somebody's innocence and destroys that person's ability to ever look at a guy the same way, right? And now has to live with that the rest of her life. And she said, how do I forgive those people? I said, by giving them away, right? You don't say it's okay. I'm cool with it. That's not forgiveness. That's forgiveness for your wife. That's forgiveness for your kids. Forgiveness for scumbags is giving it away. Give that person to his fate. You know who it is? Turn him in. Good God, turn him in. You know who did it. And you know what? Boy, you better be sure. What if you smoked the person and find out you were wrong? You know how often that happens? No lie. Look it up. These are things you can actually Google. Vengeance killings that went horribly wrong. There's a really great story of a guy that went to the wrong address and then put 2 clips from an AK-47 into the house in a drive-by. Got a mother and 2 kids. Didn't have anything to do with the family he was going after. But that's what vengeance does. It clouds the mind and it turns you into something that you were never intended to be. I can't imagine what you were going through. I can't. But I'll tell you what. I got ratted out by a guy who didn't want to stay in jail for a $10 bag of heroin. And he stole 10 years of my life. I learned after a few years in there that in my case, not yours, but in mine, I put myself there. If I hadn't been doing anything wrong, the kid couldn't have told on me. But boy, if you knew how bad I wanted to kill him. The first couple of years in, I fantasized about it. I've told the story on the boat. I used to think of all the different ways I was going to get him when I got out. I've seen him since I got out. In another city, in another state, at a restaurant. I'm not that guy anymore. I don't care what that dude does with his life. I really don't. The guy that did that to your brother doesn't have long on this planet whether you turn him in or not. That lifestyle is not conducive to staying alive. It really isn't. And I hurt for you, brother. You don't know me, but I pray for you. And that may not mean anything to you. But just know that there are people out there that you don't know, that have never met you, that are torn up over what has happened to you. Viciously. My brother's one of them. Right? My girl is one of them. These people reached out to me and said, man, you got to hear this. You know, I try to catch every single text, every single message that people leave on the boat. It gets really hard. I can do it as we're rolling, right? I can do it on today's video, no problem. It gets really hard if somebody leaves a message on a video 9 days after I did it, because all of the other stuff is coming in and things get lost in the shuffle and there's thousands of messages that fall through the cracks. I didn't see yours. 40 people told me about it. That's how I found that message. And these people love you, man. Whether you know them or not. And your future can go one of 2 ways. You can take your brother Brian to a prison cell with you. Or you could take him, to the world. Take him to the pyramids. For real. Take him to South America. Take him to the furthest most points, north and south. Go east, west, right? Check out the entire world and bring him with you. Because I'll tell you something, where he's at right now, nothing would make him happier. Nothing. I promise you. Nothing would make him happier than you living for both of you. That's what needs to happen. And you're going to do it one way or the other. Whether you listen to me or not, you're living for both of you right now. So you're either going to do that in the world, seeing the world and seeing beautiful things and loving and caring, or you're going to become a killer and you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. Take my word for it. Or ask a lot of other people on the boat, because there's a lot of us that have been there. It sucks. It sucks. And your brother would die a second time if he knew you were ready to trade your life, right, for the 20 days, 30 days, 2 hours, whatever satisfaction you think that's going to bring you. And if you think it's justice, I promise you, I think justice either. It isn't. The guy should die. I believe that. But not at your hand. That's not justice. Justice will find him. It has a way of doing that. It really does. It has a way of doing that. Especially when you give it away. Right? Give it away. It's not going to be easy. I'm not saying forgive the guy in terms of saying, hey, we're cool. But give it away. Get him out of your existence. Swiss Vapor. Captain, oh Captain, sober and stable. 9 months ago, I decided to quit alcohol. 4 months ago, I quit benzos. I'm newborn. Thanks for the support. Calm and easy, wonderful. You know what, man? The vape is amazing. It really is. Swiss Vape, you're my hero, man. I want to tell you, to those of you out there trying to kick alcohol, those of you out there with alcohol use disorder, the amount of alcohol this man drank, it's almost cartoonish. I'm not trying to make light of anything, but I mean, I remember the first time that me and Swiss Vape spoke, and we were actually Skyping. I said, just break down your habit. Let me know what we're working with. The same thing I ask all of you. Tell me about your drug use. Where are you at? What's going on with you right now? Boom, 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 boom. He starts listing stuff off. Guy's drinking like gallons of booze a day, taking ridiculous. The fact that his heart is still beating is proof of a higher power, because the amount of drugs and alcohol that this guy was doing. Thank God you're still with us, Vape. I mean it, man. Thank God you're still with us. I mean that. And I'm not just throwing that out as a term. I mean, thank God that you are with us, because it is a miracle that you're still on the planet. And I'm so glad to hear you're reborn, man. The best part of that story, too, is your girl. People, I told you I get high reading comments. I'm not kidding you. And I mean literally, right? The dopamine in my brain goes like this. I get releases. What do you think I do this? Right? But when he told the story of his daughter, if that doesn't put a lump in your throat, then you're on the wrong boat. Swiss Vape. Cannot tell you how proud I am of you, brother. I mean, amazing, amazing stuff. The transformation and the amount of that you had to quit is next to impossible. It really is. You want to talk about a mountain to climb? Seriously. You want to talk about heart? You're eating a bottle of benzos and you're washing it down with a gallon of beer after you've already had a bottle of wine or two. I mean, what this dude was drinking was just absolutely insidious. I can't believe that he hasn't, that it didn't take him off the planet. But thank the Lord that you're here for your baby girl, and I'm so proud of you, man, and I'm so glad that you're on the boat. I really am. It's one of those people that just makes me happy. And Yahushua's disciple, it's really great to see you. It really is. I love seeing your name in the comment section. I do. It's one of those things that really, really makes me happy. Hold on a second. And CJ Blaze, I don't think I've ever welcomed you to the lifeboat before tonight, but it is great to see you. CJ Blaze is one of the nicest people you're ever going to want to meet. Andy Paul, looking down dark days, bad times will pass. There's no question. There's no question. we find ourselves in really, really dark places. You want to know how they pass a lot quicker? Turn a light on. And I'm not being funny. When you're in the dark, it's because the lifestyle and everything that we do, right? We don't tell anybody. We don't talk about it. Everything that's going on in the life of an addict is all inside here, right? Everything we have is all right inside here. And we just keep it in there and we don't talk about it and we just hold it in and it rots you from the inside out. And the first time somebody says out loud, you know what, I'm a drug addict? A little bit of light shines. And then they start telling their story and they start letting it out. I remember the first time I said out loud, you know what? I was a pretty rotten father. It was a tough day. That was one of those things that I wanted to snow myself. It was one of the last things to give up. You know, I played with my son. I spent so much time with my son, but I was doing dope. I was a terrible father. And that's a really difficult thing to say out loud. But you know what happens when you do? The light gets brighter. And those dark places that you find yourself in, people, if you got something that's eating at you, you don't even know it's there. I swear to you, you don't. I didn't realize that coming clean on that even needed to happen. But I had a guy like Q to really get through stuff, you know? And when I came to the realization that I was a rotten dad and that I was never going to be a rotten dad again, my life changed. I had the most beautiful conversation with my daughter today. And I mean, I cry a lot. Y'all know that. But it was, you know, she's a woman. I missed a lot of the time in her life because of dope. And because of going to prison. Because of stupid things that I did. But you know what? And I tell her every single time I talk to her. I don't ever not tell her. I'm never going anywhere again. I took Johnny to prison with me. I took my mom and dad to prison with me. You don't go to prison alone. You know, you don't. It would be great if you did. That really would be justice. But you don't. You drag everybody that cares about you to prison with you. I remember the day that I got out and I called Johnny from the airport because the guy at the airport thought I was Johnny. I told the story on the boat before. The cop walks up and said, hey, I know who you are. And I just got out of a prison van, right? Like I had on street clothes for the first time in, 9 years, 10 years. And I thought, man, they call ahead and tell you you're never free again or what? And I said to the guy, well, I got my paperwork and it was the mask and all that time. And he goes, you're the guy that eats the peppers, right? And I said, yeah, that's me. I got to run. I had the goatee at the time. I look way younger than Johnny, but I called him from the airport. And he said to me, this is the first time I have felt good in 10 years. You don't do time alone. And when we screw up, we hurt those we love. We do. It's never worth it. And I'm looking for your email, brother. I promise you I am looking for your email tonight, and I'm going to send another one back your way. To all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the lifeboat. Take care of each other, man. Take care of one another. Pray for one another. If you're not somebody that prays, positive thoughts about them. If you're not someone who has positive thoughts, stick around. We'll get you some. Hope dealers. That's what we are, right? We do it by boat, but we're slinging hope. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. I'm going to be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. And if that somebody is you, then reach out to people on the lifeboat, and they'll help you save yourself. All right? So between now and tomorrow, people, tomorrow morning, get up. Look at the lifeboat. Seriously. And if it doesn't make your day better, don't do it the next day. But an hour a day does a lot for your sobriety. 5 hours a day in the morning will do wonders. Check it out. This is the reason you're here. That is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you. Don't we, squirrel? You're a good kitty. Come here. Yeah, I know.